If you are not American, you might think that suburbs are the dream place to live. Quiet streets, big houses, green lawns, and the famous white picket fence. For decades, Hollywood movies and TV shows have sold this image as the perfect life. A peaceful neighborhood, a big house, a garage, maybe a dog running around the yard. But the truth is far from it. Today, more than half of Americans live in suburbs, and millions of new suburban homes are still being built every year. On the surface, suburbs look calm, clean, and successful. But beneath that calm appearance lies a system that is environmentally damaging, socially isolating, and financially unsustainable. Modern suburbs are actually a very recent invention. They exploded after the end of the World War II. Millions of American soldiers were returning home, and the country needed housing quickly. Developers began building massive neighborhoods of nearly identical houses, producing them almost like products on an assembly line. At the same time, the government introduced cheap home loans and built huge highway networks across the country. Suddenly, living far away from the city was no longer a problem. And this new lifestyle quickly became the symbol of the American dream. But here is where the United States becomes very different from the rest of the world. In most European and Asian countries, cities and neighborhoods were built long before cars existed. As a result, they were designed for people, not vehicles. Homes, grocery stores, pharmacies, cafes, parks, and public transport are usually located close together. In many parts of Europe, you can leave your house and within a 5-minute walk find a bakery, a grocery store, a small restaurant, or a pharmacy. Children walk to school, elderly people walk to parks, people meet neighbors on sidewalks and in small cafes. The same pattern exists across much of Asia as well. Cities like Tokyo, Seoul, or Bangkok have dense neighborhoods filled with convenience stores, street markets, transit stations, and small businesses, all within walking distance. Daily life happens on the street. But American suburbs were built with a completely different philosophy. Instead of mixing homes with shops and services, zoning laws in the United States separate everything. Residential zones only contain houses. Stores are placed far away in commercial zones. Offices are in another district entirely. That means you can't simply walk to buy groceries, get coffee, or pick up medicine. You have to drive everywhere. In fact, in many American suburbs, even if you need something as simple as toothpaste, you might have to drive 8 or 10 kilometers just to reach the nearest store. There are often no sidewalks, no nearby shops, and no public transport. Without a car, daily life becomes almost impossible. This car-dependent design also creates major environmental problems. Because suburbs spread across such large areas, they consume enormous amounts of land. Forests, farmland, and natural ecosystems are replaced by endless neighborhoods, highways, parking lots, and shopping centers. While suburbs look green because of lawns and trees, they actually destroy far more natural land than dense cities. A city like New York City houses millions of people in a relatively small area, leaving large surrounding regions undeveloped. But suburban sprawl keeps expanding outward, slowly devouring everything around it. Suburban households also produce much higher carbon emissions per person than people living in dense cities, largely because of the constant need to drive long distances. But the problems of suburbia are not just environmental. They are social as well. Across the United States, many experts now talk about a loneliness epidemic. People feel more isolated than ever before, and part of that problem may actually be connected to suburban design. In a healthy community, people usually interact in what sociologists call third places. The first place is home, the second place is work. The third place is where social life happens: cafes, parks, libraries, small shops, plazas. But in many American suburbs, these places barely exist. You don't casually meet people while walking to a store, sitting in a cafe, or waiting for a train. Instead, social interaction becomes something you have to schedule and drive to. You don't encounter neighbors. You visit them, and that small difference slowly creates a much more isolated society. But the most shocking problem with suburbs might actually be financial. Suburbs often look wealthy and prosperous, but many of them cannot actually sustain themselves economically. Think about the massive amount of infrastructure required to support a typical suburban neighborhood. Miles of roads, sewage pipes, water systems, electrical lines, and maintenance crews. All of that infrastructure serves only a relatively small number of homes. In dense urban neighborhoods, a short stretch of road or pipe might serve hundreds of people living in apartments or mixed-use buildings. In a suburb, that same amount of infrastructure might serve only a handful of houses. And that makes the math very difficult. In many cases, the tax revenue from suburban homes does not cover the long-term cost of maintaining the infrastructure that supports them. Roads eventually need repairs. Pipes need replacement. Electrical grids need upgrades. So how do cities pay for it? They keep building more suburbs. New developments bring new taxes and development fees, which cities use to maintain the older neighborhoods. But that only works if the expansion never stops. If growth slows down, the system starts running out of money, which means the suburban model depends on constant expansion to survive. That's not sustainable city planning. That's a system that begins to look suspiciously like a Ponzi scheme. For decades, the American suburb has been marketed as the ultimate dream: more space, more privacy, and a better life. But behind the quiet streets and white picket fences lies a reality that is far more complicated. A system that isolates people, damages the environment, and struggles to support itself financially. The American suburb may look like paradise from the outside, but in many ways, it's a fragile illusion.